Honda has released a revamped version of its popular medium SUV, the CR-V, and this week I've been road testing it with my little family of 3. We've been in the L7, which has 7 seats and a host of features that makes it a solid contender against its rivals, the Mitsubishi Outlander, Nissan X-Trail and Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace. In this video, I'm going to show you just how practical that revamp has been, so stay watching. There are 7 variants for the CR-V, and our model sits smack bang in the middle of the lineup and will cost you $53,000 drive away. Now, that price point does position it as one of the more expensive compared to its rivals, but this is a very well specified model for that price tag. This features some lovely premium items like a panoramic sunroof, heated front seats, leather appointed trims throughout, as well as wireless Apple CarPlay. The L7 also has satellite navigation that features 5 years complimentary over-the-air map updates, which is great. The full specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more info. I am loving the new design of the CR-V. The previous model was nice to look at, to be sure, but this model just seems more purposeful and timeless looking to me. I also like how filled out it is and that there's no jarring cutaways, especially at the rear. There is a full suite of LED exterior lights that include these sequential turn signals at the front. It also has black intake vents, an extended grille and 18-inch alloys, which just add a sporty edge to it. The dash is gorgeous and I really like how cohesive it feels with the placement and sizing of all of its bits, like the 9-inch touchscreen multimedia system, climate control and charging ports. It might draw mixed reviews, but I actually really like the metal honeycomb mesh that covers these air vents. It just adds a lot of personality up front. The cabin is practical for a medium SUV and there's plenty of space. I have ample head and legroom up front. I also like the attention to detail, like this cute little mirror that you can set to check out what your kids are doing in the back. The front seats are extremely comfortable, they're electric and both are heated. I also like that there are adjustable lumbar support on the driver's side. There's plenty of individual storage up front with the usual drink bottle holders and cup holders, as well as a deep middle console and a good size glove box. I also like that there's a utility tray up front that houses a wireless charging pad, USB-C port and a USB-A port, as well as a 12-volt port. The multimedia system is dead simple to operate, is responsive and also looks great. I love that this has wireless Apple CarPlay, which is easy to connect to, and there's also wired Android Auto for those users too. The 7-inch partial digital instrument panel looks good and is easy to read. And I also really think it's handy having the boot opener button right next to the driver as well. The back seat isn't terribly comfortable. They're set like stadium seats, so you kind of feel like you're perched on top of them rather than sitting in them. But I do like that the floor is flat and the bench seat is wide, so middle seaters should be pretty comfortable on a longer journey in this. The amenities and individual storage back here are pretty good. You get 2 map pockets, 2 USB-C ports, directional air vents, as well as drink bottle holders in each door, and 2 cup holders in this fold-down armrest. I really like how wide the door apertures are in this though. Like, they're ridiculously wide and makes for very easy access in here. My son also commented how good his view was with the high seating position. There are ISOFIX child seat mounts on the outboard seats plus 3 top tethers, and the seat is wide enough that you'll probably be able to squeeze in 3 skinny child seats. There's also plenty of room for front passengers when a 0 to 4 rearward facing child seat is installed too. The third row is pretty easy to access given that the second row has a 1-lever slide action. However, I would still consider them sometime seats for adults. And just to give you an indication of the foot space, look at how cute this tiny floor mat is. I do like that you get directional air vents in this, as well as retractable drink bottle holders. The boot is a bit awkward with how it's stepped with this third row placement, but it's still an okay size at 472 litres. If you need to use that third row, you'll only fit a few items in the back because it's 150 litres when all 3 rows are in use. I did have to get a little bit creative with how I put my groceries and gear in this week, but overall it's a good space. I love having a hands-free powered tailgate, and in this model you do get a temporary spare tire. Until you get into the hybrid model, all variants share the same engine specs. And the L7 has a 1.5 litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder, which is a front-wheel drive and has a max power output of 140 kilowatts and 240 newton meters worth of torque. This features a smooth, continuously variable transmission and is a really pleasant open roader, but you do have to be quite consistent with the accelerator when you're on hills. I've really enjoyed the CR-V's road manners this week. It's fairly responsive with its power and not too tinny sounding when you need to put your foot down. It can lurch a little bit in stop-start traffic, but is otherwise a very easy car to get around in. The CVT transmission is smooth and you don't get a lag like you can get in other CVTs. The suspension is medium firm feeling, which means that you will feel some bumps, but is fairly well cushioned, which is nice. The cabin is pretty quiet because of the active noise cancellation this has, and that means that you can basically hear every occupant in the car, which is great. I did notice that the visibility in this is fantastic because the pillars are a bit thinner than normal and the window's quite wide. I didn't have any issues parking this because the reversing camera is pretty clear and you get front and rear parking sensors. But I think the experience would definitely improve if it had a 360-degree view camera, just because this is quite a large medium SUV. Still, fits nicely and snugly into compact car parks, which is great. The official combined fuel cycle economy for this car is 7.3 litres per 100 kilometres. My real world usage came to 8.3 litres. I was pretty stoked with that figure given how hard I drove it and how much open road driving I did this week. I would expect that figure to be a little bit higher in an urban setting, but I was pretty happy. Based on the official combined fuel cycle and the 53 litre fuel tank, expect to see a driving range of around 780 kilometres in this. The CR-V has a bunch of safety features, which is always great to see on a family car. And I really like the driver attention monitor in this. It basically watches you to see if you're distracted and it will alert you. I found it to be sensitive and effective, but not too intrusive. At the time of this video, the new CR-V hasn't been rated with ANCAP yet, but it does have 10 airbags, which is more than you usually see for this class. The full safety specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more info. Honda really shows up its competition with the ownership costs. The CR-V comes with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, as well as a 5-year cap price servicing program. Services cost a flat $199, which is downright cheap for the class, but servicing intervals could get a little bit annoying if you put a lot of Ks on your car every year, because they're set at every 12 months or 10,000 kilometers, whichever occurs first. The Honda CR-V L7's design totally wins in my books. It looks modern and the tech is up to date. The boot is a little bit awkward to use and the comfort in that back seat could definitely improve. But overall, this is a solid family car, and the extra 2 seats in the back just offers more flexibility for families. So this gets a 7.9 out of 10 from me. My son didn't gush over this one, but he did mention how great his view was from the back seat, so he gives it a 7 out of 10. If you're after more details, check out the full review at carsguide.com.au, and I'll see you next week.